Hello everybody! I'm sorry, I'm just a couple minutes late coming on today. Today is actually my birthday. So I just got off the phone with my uncle. He just phoned to wish me happy birthday, so I'm just a couple minutes late. Past 9:30 getting on here, but that's okay. Because it was very nice of him to call. So I apologize for that, but just know it was for a good reason. So, today is day 10 of the Spring into Simple Decluttering Challenge. So we're in the double digits. This is great. We've made it to day 10 already, so this is so good. Today's task is paper clutter. Now, before you freak out or feel overwhelmed, I know paper clutter can be overwhelming. I just wanted to let you know that we all have paper clutter to deal with. We all have papers constantly coming into our home. And so our approach today is just to do what we can with the time we have, like I've said all along, and to approach it in a stress-free way, a way that's not going to overwhelm us or cause us to spend hours sorting through papers. We're going to start working on our paper clutter, make a difference, make an impact, but not get stressed out or overwhelmed. So if the thought of tackling paper clutter today kind of freaks you out, don't worry. We're going to do it in a way that is stress-free and a good way to ease into it. So for today's task, I want you to focus on your current paperwork first. We're going to tackle all of your current stuff first before we move on to anything old or in your files or that kind of thing. So if time and energy allows, of course, move on to older paperwork, but for the purpose of today's task, we'll start with your current paperwork. So that's like recent bills, mail, cards, school papers, any paperwork you have right now that's kind of in its current phase. So what I suggest that you do is gather it all together and do a quick sort. Sort, what's garbage, what can be recycled or shredded, what you need to take action on, make a pile for action items, things that need to be filed. Sort it into a way that makes sense for you just to get it organized and kind of get your mind wrapped around what you have to deal with right now. And then just continue sorting until all your current paperwork is in these piles. Then throw out the garbage, shred, recycle, whatever you need to do. The action pile, take a few minutes and take action on as many things as you can. Just kind of get it over with, get it done, sit down, buckle down and do as much of it as you can. And then go ahead and file the stuff that needs to be filed. And as you're doing this, I encourage you to take a few minutes to assess your current system for handling paperwork. Is it working for you? Does paper tend to pile up? Do you lose things, lose track of things, miss due dates, that kind of thing, just because your paperwork is kind of out of control? If your system isn't working for you, try to brainstorm and do some thinking if you can come up with a better system. What is not working and how could you potentially solve that? Like, is it, you just let it go for too long and you need to deal with it more often? Do you need a single place to contain all the paperwork so it's not floating all over the house, getting lost or forgotten about? Think about what would make it easier. Do some brainstorming, do some problem solving, and see what will work for you. I do have a couple links in today's email sharing how I handle paperwork in my house that's been working quite well for me. So if you want to check those out, they're in the email and you can see my system. And of course you can take my system, you can use it exactly as it is, you can tweak it to suit you, whatever works, but it's just an idea, maybe a starting point of something that might help make life a little easier for you. And I wanted to share something that's been working really well for me in the last couple of years. It's something I learned about from Dawn at the Minimal Mom. And she calls it the time will tell bin. And this has been so helpful because a lot of paper clutter comes from this stuff. It's not really an action item. It's not something we want to file, but it's something we might need. We might want to refer to it. We might use it in the future. And this kind of stuff just sits around causing clutter in the house. So a time will tell, I use a file, she uses a bin, a time will tell bin or file, whatever works, is such a great way to deal with these non-action items, non-file items that you just kind of don't know what to do with, that clutter up your house and end up floating around. So it can be things like coupons, maybe like an order form if you're not sure you're going to order something. It could be, a flyer or a business card that you might use. What other kinds of things? Like sometimes we get things from school about events or upcoming things that I'm not sure we'll need, but I want to keep the info just in case I want to refer to it. It could be about an event that you're not sure if you'll be attending or not, but you want that information on hand in case you do. All of those kinds of things that they have no specific action to take, but you just might want them in the future. Even things like paint samples. I know like those kind of things can float around, and then when you need them, you can never find them. But in the meantime, they just add clutter to your home. So this time will tell file is so helpful for all just containing those random items that you don't really know what to do with. And the good thing is there's no stress associated with it. Nothing has to be done with any of those items. It can just sit there until you clean it out. But in the meantime, if you think like, oh, didn't I get a coupon for that in the mail? There it is waiting for you if you need it. So that's something that's been really helping me with those those papers that just don't have, they don't have a clear-cut place. I have like my action files, like my bills I have to pay, my things I have to respond to, forms I have to sign, and then I have my file for paperwork I need to keep on hand. But it's those other things that just kind of cause clutter and a mess. So that's been working really well for me. So I encourage you to try it out for yourself and see how it works. And so once you've handled your current paperwork, the current paperwork that you have to deal with, that's like in its current phase, just came in the mail or just came into your home in the last few days. Once you've done that, if time and energy allows, you can start tackling older paperwork. So basically it's the same system. You just sort through it all, shred or recycle what you no longer need, figure out how you want to organize the paperwork you want to keep, whether that's saving physical copies or digitizing them and saving them to the cloud somewhere. And basically the thing about going through older paperwork is that you just have to take a slow and steady approach, do a little bit at a time. Don't stress if there's a lot, just keep going a little bit at a time, making those decisions, deciding if you actually need it or not, and getting rid of the stuff we don't actually need. I know a lot of us hold on to paperwork because we might need it or what if or just in case. So it's really beneficial to do a quick search for how long you need to keep paperwork in your area. Like things like taxes here anyways, you need to keep personal taxes for 7 years and business taxes for 10 years. I don't know if that's different in other countries. So do a quick Google search. But you don't need to keep things like my friend who is a bookkeeper just sent me a message and she was laughing saying, please tell people you don't need to keep phone bills from 12 years ago. So I think it's important to remember, figure out how long you need to keep that paperwork and only keep it for the time period you need it. Don't hold on to things endlessly because it just causes a lot of clutter. And then when you have to go through your paperwork, it causes a lot of stress because you have a ton of paperwork to sort through. So sort through it and really be ruthless and honest about how much you need to keep and what you can let go of. And then also digitizing important paperwork that you need to keep is a great way to keep it on hand without keeping a bunch of paper clutter. So you can scan it or take a picture with your phone and save it on Google Drive or on the cloud somewhere. And then you still have access to it. It's still kept safe, but you don't need to keep the physical copies cluttering up your house. So just slow but steady work through your older paperwork as time and energy allows, getting rid of what you don't need, organizing what you do in a way that works for you, and being as ruthless as you can so you're not keeping paperwork that you don't actually need. And then once you get through it, once you eventually get through all that paperwork, then the goal is to work to maintain it. So, at least once or twice a year, going through your files and getting rid of what you don't need anymore, making sure you're only keeping the essentials, that kind of thing. So that's today's task. So remember, don't get overwhelmed if you have a lot of paperwork. Don't think about it all. Start with your current stuff. Do what you can in the time you have. Do as much as you can. If you get through all your current paperwork and want to just start even for 5 minutes on your older paperwork, do that. just do what you can. We're focusing on progress, not perfection. Every bit of decluttering you do is a step in the right direction. So don't stress about getting it all done. Just focus on doing some. Getting rid of some clutter today, making your home a little bit less cluttered, and it all adds up and it all matters. So keep sharing in the group what you're working on. Show us your beautifully organized paperwork systems or your pile of paper you're sending to recycling. All of those things are encouraging for all of us. So I'm excited to see how today goes. And I'll be back tomorrow. I just wanted to remind you, tomorrow I'll be going live at 9 Mountain Standard Time instead of 9:30. So it'll be a little bit earlier tomorrow. And then we'll be back to our normal time on Friday. So happy decluttering, everyone. I can't wait to see the paperwork that you work on today. So take care. Don't stress. Do what you can. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.